Hello, good morning. How you doing? Today I'm going to talk about pricing. I've got loads of notes. I'm hiding in the house. Anybody else finding it's a complete juggle? Like, oh no, you go in, I'll go in here. Oh, I'm just going to make a call. Today I wanted to talk about pricing. Morning. How you doing? Feel free to grab a piece of paper and a pen. I've got loads to share with you this morning, but also feel free for it to be interactive as well. And you can ask questions, and I can help you and all that sort of stuff. So, the reason I wanted to talk about pricing today, sorry, I live in London, there's probably going to be lots of sirens, is there's lots of chat on the internet about at the moment. So I did a video the other day saying nobody used to talk about money. Nobody used to say what they were charging, what they're doing, and now it feels like that is the time for this conversation. So I wanted to talk about that moment when people know it's time to move, to make some great moves and to maybe increase their prices. And from a personal experience, it's never been, okay, so now I've been in business for 6 months, now it's time to do that. Or I became qualified on May the 1st, so the following May, I should increase my prices. If anything, it's always, morning, it's always come at a point of feeling. And here are some of the things I'm going to talk about today about increasing your prices. So the first indication, I've got about 8 points, so here we go. So the first indication might be that you know that it's time to increase your prices because you saw my post on my grid this morning and was like, oh, Nikki Raby's doing a pricing increase workshop. I should maybe listen to that. Yes, I've been thinking about this for a while. And sometimes it's just listening out and maybe hearing the same thing again and again. That is your kind of sign from the universe, however you want to talk about it. But it's that nudge that you can't ignore anymore, and it's maybe that niggle of like, yeah, I need to explore this. I need to see what's going on. So that's the first point. If you're seeing it again and again, it is time to explore it. And the second thing, I guess, which leads on to this, is if other people are talking about money all the time and it's triggering you, then it's time to explore further. So if people in your industry, for example, are talking about all the things that they're doing or how they made a cup of tea and suddenly they were a 6-figure business owner, and it's starting to, I guess, irritate you, anger you, frustrate you, if you're having that emotional reaction to something, it's definitely time to explore what that might mean, because it may mean that you're looking and thinking, yeah, I could do more here. I could make this a thing. So if other people are talking about things and it's triggering you, don't ignore it and don't put it down to, oh, I'm just tired. There's probably something in it, and therefore it's probably time for you to make your moves. The third thing I want to share is it's time to increase or switch up your prices if what you're making every single month is not aligned with what you want to be making. And if you've built and again, this is the thing, when we all start, we have no idea how to, well, I certainly didn't. I had no idea what was going to work or how I was going to do this. There was a lot of trial and error. And now I'm nearly 8 years in, I'm finding that I can make snappier decisions. Morning. I can make clearer decisions because I've built up that data over 8 years, that I can go from a place of really understanding what I need from the situation. So if you know what your money goal is for the month, for example, in a simple maths equation, what do you need to sell to get you to that? And we can go into profit and turnover and all of that sort of stuff, but let's just keep it really simple. So say, for example, you were creating you wanted to create 100 quid per month. I'm sure it's more than that. But you could make that decision of whether you were going to sell 4 items at 25 quid or 2 items at 50 quid or 100 at 100, 1 at 100 or 100 at £1 each. And there may be something in you that goes, actually, it's going to be really easy just for me to sell. Morning, Isabel. It's going to be really easy for me just to sell 100 of these. Like a baker's, for example. There's loads in North London where we live. Like, people go bonkers for the baked goods. People go crazy for the croissants. And they're like, £3.49 for a croissant. Of course, let's do this. But if your goals of what the money that you want to make, if that feels really hard, like, oh my goodness, if you're suddenly thinking, well, I've only got 200 people who follow me on Instagram and I have to make 200 sales or get 200 customers to be able to get me that kind of money, that's going to feel a real slog from the beginning. That's going to feel like it's going to be a mismatch as well. Likewise, I have set my business up, and I'll probably go into a little bit more about this pricing later on down the line. I have lots of different price points on my website, and that's really specific because people come to me at different times. People experience my work in different ways. So something like the £20 shop is very much, it comes from a place of, I'm going to say this without getting teary, it comes from a place, morning if you're joining, £20 is, this is my feminist stance of, I want it to be possible for anybody who wants to get out of their situation or to make moves quickly at a low price point to be able to do that with £20. There's something quite powerful about a £20 note of handing that over. And I was increasingly becoming really frustrated that this self-development world was all, you've got to part with a 6-figure sum, or, it's 50 grand to work with me and all of that stuff. Great. Like, I've invested a huge amount of money this year, but I am at that stage in my business. I'm ready to go to that, those bigger numbers. But in the beginning, I was umming and ahhing about spending 20 quid on something. I was doing the free version for so long. So having that part of my business model is really important for me because I want people to be having opportunities, especially at this time as now, where sometimes people are feeling like they're stuck in their circumstances and that we're not necessarily having control and things like that. And for me to be able to do that, great. But I do not rely on that income in order to reach my money goal. So when those sales come in of the £20, or somebody goes, oh my goodness, I did your course and like, this is great, that's a wonderful thing. And that's a way, in the way that my business is built up, that's a lovely addition. Rather than me saying, okay, so this is my goal and this is the number of £20 courses that I have to sell. Because that's a lot of back and forth. And also, I'm going to throw this in there in the mix. I wasn't going to get to this now, but I'm going to say it whilst I'm here. Sometimes it takes more of me to sell a £20 course than it does for me to sell something that's over £1,000. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes it takes more of me and exchange and back and forth and for somebody to make a decision on a £20 course than it does for somebody to pay over £1,000 to work with me. Now, I did not realise that this would be the case. But one thing I have noticed is when people go at that higher level, they've actually done all the research. They've done all the things and they're good to go. And I made the mistake for many years of going lower end and hoping for the best and being cheap and generous and giving and kind and all of those things. But sometimes the kindest thing that you can do, not only to the relationship, but the kindest thing that you can do to yourself, is to step away and go, I'm going to leave it with you, and let's do this at another time. Come back to me whenever you're ready. You never want to feel like you're having to convince somebody to do that, because it's just a lot of energy. People will come to you when they're ready. Okay, the fourth thing, where are we up to? It's time to increase your prices when it's time to increase your prices when your clients begin, or the inquiries that you're getting start to feel like a mismatch. I feel like you're talking directly to me. I've been underpricing myself for years. You're in safe hands. You're in a safe place. This is why I'm talking about it, because so many of us do. So many of us have. And it's a conversation I want to have more. So please don't feel that you're alone in that. I'm sure you're not. So if your clients feel like a mismatch, I love clients that come to me and they go, how quickly can I see you? I'm ready to book. Let's do this. Or there's a client that I see every quarter, and whenever I see her face to face, I'm seeing her online at the moment, she goes, right, Nikki, I've got 18 things on my list and I want to get going now, and I want to, let's do this. That for me is highly invigorating. That feels so good. So when that exchange of that money comes through, and when suddenly that woman will say, I made over 100 grand last year, I have no issue in charging what I charge for that experience, because she's getting such a return on investment, and the whole exchange feels really great. For example, if you're attracting clients again and again who can't make up their mind, who are going back and forth, who were going to do something and then they didn't, and then they were thinking about it and then they forgot to pay the invoice. For me, even though I'm 38, I have a bored toddler in me, very much so. Sometimes I'm like, bored now, not interested. Next, move on, what we doing? And that has been a really interesting moment, because that's when it's felt like a mishmash. So for me, if I'm working really hard at my business, if I'm showing up continuously, if I'm doing what I say that I'm going to do, if I'm keeping myself really sharp, even if the client or whoever comes to you is say for example with your photography business, I'm not really sure, I'm not I don't feel confident having my pictures taken, or even if they've got insecurities, that's absolutely fine. Morning, Emma. But if there is that moment where it just feels a bit funky back and forth, you know that it's time to really think about who that ideal client is for you. Because whoever it is, at whatever level, it just has to feel really good. So for example, I had a discovery call with somebody the other day, and she was saying, I'm so frustrated. I've got no clients. Nobody seems to want to pay me. And I said, okay, great. And then she said, so I want to work with you. I said, lovely. This is what it costs. I don't have any money, so I don't want to do that. And for me, that just felt like a mismatch in that way. So when you're thinking about your pricing and when you're thinking about your clients, if you're getting those indications of the people who are like, I'm ready to go, I'm excited about this, happy days, these are the people that you want all day. It's like if you were going dating, you never want to convince somebody, do you want to, will you stay for another drink, please, because I don't want to go home by myself. Oh, please, I'm really, look, I know I haven't brought many jokes yet, but I'm going to bring jokes. I've got jokes. I'll get my rack out. I won't, not today. But all of that, you never want. Can't believe I just said get your rack out. But I never want to have that weird, funky thing where you're trying to get people to stay in the room and stay in this situation. Okay, the next thing, an indication of it's time to get you. Have you got your rack out, Emma? If you're finding yourself tipping into burnout, this is a big thing. So if you're in that moment where you're like, I've got no time for anything. I've got a stack of admin. I've got emails up to my eyes. I've got washing piles everywhere. I can't remember the last time that I didn't work in the evening. I just feel like that headless chicken here, there and everywhere. That is an indication to look at your prices, because there will be an easier and a more fulfilling, nurturing, nourishing way to do this. That being said, I don't necessarily believe in all those hypey marketing people who'll say, I just work like 2 hours a week and I've got this, this and this. I think it's possible sometimes if you have amazing automated systems, but that's not my zone of genius, and I'm certainly not there yet, and it's not something that I get excited about. So there's probably things in my business that somebody might look at and go, bloody hell, Raby, why are you still doing that? Or why isn't there an easier way to do that? Yes is probably the answer. But again, I will have that moment when I kind of go into my next layer, my next chapter, kind of going forward. Okay, so if you're having that moment where you're feeling like things are emotional, so when you're tipping into that burnout, sometimes the way it shows up, where you go, maybe I should give up on this, maybe I should just get a proper job, whatever that is. Maybe, is this ever going to work? Is anybody going to pay me? This feels a lot of hard work. Or sometimes on the good days where you can be rational and you're getting that indication of like, surely there's a better way to do this. Surely it shouldn't be this hard. And again, if you're having that niggle, if you're having that nudge, it's time to make some moves in that way. Number 5, if your pricing doesn't emotionally stimulate you or your customer. So this is an interesting one. Emotionally stimulate sounds like an intriguing phrase, doesn't it? But I am now at a stage where I have consistency in my business. So I have clients that are coming to me on a regular basis. I've worked really hard to create that. And I never want to lose that excitement when somebody pays me, where somebody says, especially with the coaching or even sort of with the acting or all of it really, where I have that like, oh, I got a new project. Oh, this sounds really good. And I want to be excited about it. For example, I've just finished working with a duo for a month. And when we first had the conversation, I'd worked with one of them personally over a monthly period. And when she came to me and she said, oh, me and my pal, we're going to do this, I got that, oh my goodness, I hope they pick me as their coach because I'm really excited. I want to do this. And that's how I want to feel in my work. Some people, sure, they'll just go get bums on seats, charge them whatever, la 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 la, doesn't matter, let's just do the maths. It's not how I roll. Like, I've got to feel really connected and excited by my work. So from a pricing point of view, when somebody pays me, I want it to emotionally stimulate me in a way that I go, brilliant, I'm all in, I'm excited, I've got loads of ideas, and I've got energy for the situation. That's really important. And when that lands in my bank account as well, I want to have that like, I'm doing it. Not just like, oh, they paid me £2.49 and that will buy, I don't know, a baked good, like I was saying in terms of North London's finest earlier. Equally, the pricing from their point of view is it's got to emotionally stimulate them. So when I started at the end of February working with my coach for a year, I had to almost press send and not look at the screen because it felt stretchy, it felt scary, it felt indulgent. It felt emotional, like, who am I to like do this and da da da. And you know, my baby was young at the time, and I could have had 1,000,001 things, like it's not the right time, but something in me was like, go, do it. Like, because otherwise what's going to happen a year from now, you're going to be in the same spot and you're going to be really annoyed. So equally, from a customer point of view, I had to feel like this emotionally stimulated. And I tell you what, since I've done that, since I've shown up, I am there. I'm all in. I'm not all like, oh, I didn't do the homework, or sorry, I was late for the session, or, I'm trying to make moves to make this happen all the time because I'm invested. Time, energy, money, all that good stuff. So I had a question in my DMs, which is kind of, I think we're number 7, number 6, who knows, but here we go. About the hourly rate versus the day rate. And I think this is why I sort of wanted to have this this chat about pricing in this way, because sometimes what we can feel is there's a one size fits all. So if you are a coach and you have been doing this for X number of years, therefore you should charge X. Or if other people who are on your level are doing this, then this is what you should do. And for me, of course, research the market. Like, don't feel like you're, have some context maybe. But there's a phrase that I use all the time of learn the script and then throw it away, which really helps me because ultimately pricing has to come, hi Kaz, pricing has to come down to what feels good. And if it feels good, then you can sell it. If you feel emotionally connected to it, if you understand the value of it, it's going to be really easy to sell. And it's been interesting as a customer who has bought things, there might be people who, there's been prices where I've gone, okay, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Am I ready for this? But them on that point of view of selling that thing, they just say it. They just say the number of thousands it is, rather than, they say it with the same ease that they would of like, it's a £5. And after all, it's kind of all money. But the hourly versus the day rate situation is an interesting one. So the way I'm going to kind of throw it around to you is about the solution that you're going to provide for the person that's paying for you. So, for example, if you can't even see it, but there's the IKEA kitchen. I don't know if you do, but for toddlers. That looks really easy to build. It's all right. It's not bad. I've built worse, but it took me about 4 hours. And this is the thing, had a couple of glasses of wine, did it, cracked on, all the rest of it. And ultimately, my child, who wanted to receive this at the end of it, wanted the result. So wanted the IKEA kitchen built. And there would be some people who would be able to look at that and be able to have that core strength and just build it and get it done in an hour. I'm not experienced at building flat pack furniture. I'll give it a good bash. It'll be the best that I can do. But I think that took me about 4 or 5 hours. So whenever you're thinking about your pricing, really consider how quickly can you provide this solution? When people leave their time that they've had with you, do they feel like they know what to do next? Do they get the result? Can they move forward from there? Because otherwise, if you're just saying, oh, I'll just spend more time with them, sometimes people don't want to spend time with you. I mean, I'm sure they do, but this is the thing. As the business owner, sometimes you feel like you're giving people more because you're like, it's a whole day, it's an extravaganza, we'll meet in the evening, we'll do that, there'll be a photo shoot, we'll all be wearing dresses, there'll be cocktail hours. And sometimes when, for example, those like all day sort of life coachy things where they'll say it's this and then we all meet on the terrace and all the rest of it. And me, as a mum of small kids, I'm like, can you just give me all the things that I need, but in an hour? Because I don't want to dance in an aisle in a conference centre to terrible R&B music. Like, I want to do that with my mates. I want everything that you've got in an hour. I'm happy to pay for the same thing, but I've got to get back to my kids. So it's about thinking, how can you energetically do that? So you really focus on what you're going to be able to deliver in that hour or that day. And sometimes giving more people more time, it's not necessary by any means. Okay, the final few points that I want to make is I want you to consider your bag of tricks. So your bag of tricks, your success toolkit, all the things that you learned, so all the things that are part of your business, your knowledge, your skills, your talents, your experience, your personality, your background, your story, your everything, your times where you faced adversity, your current circumstances, all of that stuff. And the way that it sounds it's quite hard to kind of explain it in this way, but the way that I see that now is I see it almost as a separate thing to me. So I see it as a machine that I am oiling, or maybe let's go for a plant. Machine sounds a bit cold. I see it as a plant, a living, breathing thing that I'm watering, that I'm pruning, that I'm talking to, that I'm taking care of, that I'm shifting the positioning of it sometimes. Sometimes it needs a bit more sunlight, so I'll wang it there. Sometimes it needs some more watering, so I'll do that. Sometimes it needs to be put into a different... You get the analogy. So I try and see all of those things as a separate thing to me, because I know then the energy that takes to keep that fresh, to keep that sharp, and that it's sort of really working for me. So if I saw my business as something that was kind of living in the back of a cupboard, and I just simply open the cupboard and I'd pull it out, it'd be a bit creaky, a bit dusty, and I'd like bring it out kind of reluctantly every single day, then that's a different kind of energy. So I used to get it at drama school, where sometimes you'd get these old practitioners and they'd sort of roll up and, they'd have a big old pipe before they hello, you're great, it's so fantastic to see. And they didn't give a monkeys. They weren't interested in being fresh. They wanted to talk about the good old days rather than thinking about where they are now. So that's what I want to sort of share with you is, if you feel like you're keeping your business, this living, breathing, beautiful thing, moving and shaking, you've got to be forward thinking about how you're going to price it, how you're going to move it forward. And if whenever it gets a bit stale or you have to wipe off the dust of it, it's time for you also to do a bit of business development, a bit of strategy, all that good stuff, because you want to be ahead of the game. You want to be showing up in the best way that you can. The final-ish point that I'm going to make is I want you to experiment with saying your prices out loud. And this is something that comes up all the time, because it's all very well putting something on a website and just saying, what shall I say? Or I don't know, I'll say it's $297 because that's what everybody does, and writing it there. When was the last time that you said it out loud? And if you're already, because maybe as I'm speaking, you're like, I've got a number in mind. I wonder if I could go to that number. How would that feel? My challenge for you going forward is, how would that feel? And can you start saying it out loud? Can you start considering what that would feel like? And also doing that scenario with maybe the cynic. So it could be a partner or a child, or somebody's going to go, how much? What for that? Like, play around in that place, because then what you've got is you've got an explanation, and you're able to say, this is what it costs because of X, Y, and Z. So before you get on that conversation, or before you get online where you're saying what it is that you're doing, you've stood your ground because you understand what that is, and also you feel like you've practiced it. There's nothing worse. I mean, I've got my papers here, when suddenly like somebody gets up to read something and then all of a sudden they're like, oh gosh, right, sorry, where I was like, just bear with me a second. And you can feel that discomfort, you can feel that funkiness. So that's my challenge for you today. Consider what is going on right now in terms of your pricing. Where does it need to go? And how can you make some moves in order to get there? I'm going to finish because I need to put my daughter to sleep. So yeah, I would love to know your thoughts. If you don't want to write publicly on the grid or anything, please DM me. Please let me know what you're going to do next. And maybe where you've got... Actually, sometimes it won't be so obvious what you need to do next, but it's almost like the first stage is looking at what's the stuff, what's going on. Like if you had a skin consultation, I had one with Ren the other week, like she wasn't interested in talking about the bits that felt really fresh and lovely. Like we went straight into like, yeah, I sometimes get a bit of red around my nose, and like, yeah, I get a bit of a dryness, and like I went for the problem areas. So think about that with your business, with love, with kindness, of course. Like, don't kind of go, I can't believe I haven't done this and it just feels rubbish. And like, don't waste your energy doing that. Conserve your energy and think about how you can move forward with it. If you want more help, come to Jam and Plan Live next Tuesday. I'm doing an all-day workshop. There's going to be 4 workshops. So I'm starting with clarity and reflection because I know it's a really funky, weird time. And I know so many of my clients would be like, yeah, the second half of 2020, I'm not really sure what this looks like. So it's going to be a group setting all day. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for joining. So that first session is all about clarity, reflection, making a plan, making it real. This is really key as well. So many people have their businesses just in their head. You need to kind of extract it and look at it and see what it is that you're doing. The second session is all about money and your pricing menu and how you can start to put that together and how you can kind of figure that out. You can look at this all on my website, by the way, nikkiraby.com/jam and plan live. The third stage is all about be it, don't sell it. So I can't bear all this like, look at all my cars that I've got. Or for me, I hate all those subject lines of like, I made 6 figures while I was on the toilet, or it doesn't resonate because I always feel like there's holes in it. I always feel like, yeah, but what are you actually saying? If you're going to empower women, what does that actually mean? Does that mean profit? Does that mean turnover? What were your expenses? Are you paying your team? What does that look like? So be it, don't sell it is coming from a way that you can really share your services, but in a way that feels really good to you. The 4th session is about visibility. Like, how do you show up, especially at this time where people are saying we shouldn't be selling and I should just close my business and like, oh, just watch the news all day. No, people need what you have to offer more than ever. So that is part 1 of the Jam and Plan. The all day and next Tuesday is going to be those 4 sessions. So you get all the schedule and everything like that. You can join live or you get all of the workshops kind of as you want. So when people have been signing up, you basically log into my new online area and it's all there and ready for you. So all the sessions will be uploaded. Also, there's some bonus stuff there. So there's already some material for people who sign up to get cracking with. Here is the beautiful thing. Here's the second part that is going to be game changing. I hate that phrase, but go with me. You get a week of email, WhatsApp, voice note support from me. So after that Tuesday where you're like, oh my goodness, I'm good to go, I think I know what I'm doing, and you get that momentum and that excitement, if you then wake up on the Wednesday, you're probably going to have a bit of excitement left over from the Tuesday, but also your head will have got in and gone, yeah, but could I? Oh, I don't know how to. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll just have to see. Oh, and you get into that story. And that's why I wanted to do something in a really short period of time. So that second bit, that week until Tuesday the 30th, you've got me. It's not a WhatsApp, it's not a Facebook group like where everybody has to check in every day. It's just you and me on WhatsApp. I've been welcoming people in already and doing some voice notes and things like that. Like, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to get done by the end of this time? So from that Tuesday evening to the following Tuesday, you get unlimited email support WhatsApp support. So if you make some moves, so say for example you do the money thing and you go, right, I need to think about my pricing, what does this look like? You've got me there, and you can send me stuff, you can email it to me so I can look over it, I can give you advice, I can cheerlead you on without the box steps when you're like, oh my goodness, this feels really scary, I can't believe that I'm going to do this, but does this sound all right? Because you know what, we are at home with people, some of us not, always speaking to other people, and they may not get it at the time being. You know, they might be like, really, what? Just stick with what you've done, la 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 la. So I'm in it. I'm doing this work every single day as well. I'm seeing it from my clients. I'm seeing what people are doing. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to put my babe to bed. Any questions, just DM me. I would love to see you there. So I think I've covered everything. It's next Tuesday. The schedule's on my website, nikkiraby.com /jam and plan live. And yeah, 4 sessions and then unlimited voice now, even over the weekend as well. So and also I'm keeping it capped because there's only one of me. So once all the spots are gone, I do have a number in place that we're very close to. Once the spots are gone, I'm just going to close it. I don't know when. Somebody asked, when am I going to run it again? I don't know is the honest answer. That's not a weird kind of marketing thing. I honestly don't know at this stage, because we'll just see how it goes as well. I don't want to say like, oh, I'm going to do 9 for the rest of the year if it doesn't work. I'm sure it will, but there will be things that I want to tweak as well. So please come and join us. If you're like, I need to actually do something, I need to make this happen and make some moves, and or if you're not getting what it is that you want, take this time for you. It's really important. It's really important, especially if you've had kids at home as well, and or especially if you felt like your business has been shoved to the side a little bit. We need your voice, we need your business, we need your vibe. So I will leave it there. If you know somebody who would really benefit from this, another creative, another business owner, please send them this way, and DM me and let me know what you're going to do next. All right, have a lovely day everyone. Thanks for joining. See you soon. Bye.